Hi. So I thought I would do a typing, not a typing video because I've already been typed, but just a type demonstration for comparison purposes, I guess. A little friend of mine encouraged me to do it, so I guess I will dive into these questions for you. And the first one is, what are your biggest interests and hobbies? And this is a difficult one for me to answer because I've always felt like I didn't have this like structured list of hobbies in my life. Like I know a lot of people who constantly have constantly have these like projects on the go all the time, and there have definitely been periods in my life where that's been present. But overall, what I'm doing with my time is connecting and communicating. And it sounds so fucking cheesy, but it's true. I'm just kind of like, okay, who is around to talk for as long as I can stretch it out. And I have no issue like throwing that net a little bit wider and moving around that way. I have always been a reader, like a lot of fiction when I was younger, because I just loved getting into those idealistic character developments, and just narrative has always been how I navigate the world and life. But like, I do have ADHD and like diagnosed and everything. So that with like being conditioned to take in information like through scrolling, has made information metabolism like a little bit different for me. So that's something I would really like to get back into. And I used to be more into like somewhat artistic pursuits like writing poetry and listening to music. And I'm trying to just like allow myself to dip back into a solitary heart space, because I find that I don't make conscious room for that. How I usually end up listening to music is like there will be a song stuck in my head. So I actually end up listening to more pop music than I would intend to, because I do have wider taste than that. But those are the ones that are earworms. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then I go kind of scratch the itch. You know what I mean? So I don't make enough time for that, and like for me, really. You know what I mean? Yeah, I guess that kind of leads into the best and worst qualities. That would be such a narcissistic answer to be like, my worst quality is that I don't make time for myself. But, paradoxically, that can make you into a pretty awful boundaries crossing person, right? As I've been recently enlightened. So, but I'll start off with my worst. My worst. I'm just laughing at myself because I feel like there are types that have an answer more at the ready for this, than maybe my 269 SOSX 2 wing 3. Yeah, so my worst quality is probably my super ego in general, constantly monitoring, especially in the instinctual sense, like the social realm, and how I'm performing and how much of myself am I giving. Should I be giving more? Should I be giving less? Why not? All of those sorts of self-antagonistic questions, and then using it to validate myself, and then as almost like a measuring point for other people, and then feeling that like rejection and pain when those super ego standards aren't met. I don't know if I would classify this as like my worst trait, but it's definitely one that I can be very asleep to its destructiveness. And it's something that has caused me a lot of repetitive problems. And I, you know, I finally feel like I have the architecture to explore the rooms where, like the spaces where these things manifest. Yeah, and my best quality is probably my refusal to be jaded. Like, I'm not a triple positive type. I can go into those ugly spaces. I had a recent mental health episode like about a year ago that made that a little more difficult than it used to be. But yeah, I just refuse to have my heart hardened no matter how many times it's stomped on, or I put it out on the line and it's not received or something like that. I might adjust tactics. There's that 6 fix. But I won't become a person who is not heart-centered. Like, nobody can take that away from me. What I have to do, I guess, is learn how to hold that for myself, because you kind of can't be heart-centered if you're taking your heart out of your center and saying, here you go, to like everyone or to enough people. I have to get comfortable with the fact that it belongs to me, and to offer it up to other people is automatically to enter into a boundary negotiation. And boundaries are not evil, in fact, despite what the 2 ego might tell me. So, yeah, but I do think that unequivocal, unassuming heart energy it's not a bad thing at all. I was talking to someone about this recently, like it reflects a universal truth, and they were saying, that love is not a finite resource, and I feel like that's a knowing I deeply have access to, and not just within myself, like, oh, I have this infinite love to give, but also that people, all beings are channels of that. They just have to be open to it. And I like to explore the ways to make that happen, I guess. Whether it be through something like fun, quirky, positive, but also those really heavy talks where all the shit comes out, and it turns into fertile ground for something. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So my ideal place to live in the world. So this is something I've contended with probably my whole life. A few years ago, I found out that I have Indigenous ancestry, and I've just been doing a lot of work to reconnect to kin on the res and just in the community in general. It's been going as well as anyone could hope, honestly. So I'm super fucking grateful for that. And so the thing about, like my culture, the culture that I'm reconnecting to, is that it's land-based. Not just earth-based, but particularly like an identity around being a steward of a place, and that place being alive. And there's something very grounding and humbling about that, So I will always have some kind of rootedness here, because I also moved to be closer to my kin. But I still have this wandering spirit oh, sorry, this wandering spirit about me. And, you know, so long as the climate agrees with my body, I guess, I can see myself settling into a space for any period of time. I just need, yeah, some comfortable enough weather. Comfortable to me is not necessarily the same as comfortable to you. Like, I don't need it to be summer all the time. And beautiful in some capacity. Like, I need the world to be beautiful in like an almost SP way. Like, that's like the zone of SP that I do resonate with. It's like the physical and aesthetic. But with SOSX, it's like there has to be a magical, alive quality to it. That's something I didn't really understand as a kid. I was really not comfortable being out in land and in nature by myself because I felt so alone. And like out of relationship. But understanding that you can have relationship with any being is like transformed my ability to be with myself. So there are lots of places on Turtle Island or North America that I could see myself being, is the long way to say that. But yeah, I'm in Eastern so-called Canada, and I do like it here. So what is my biggest pet peeve? It's not loud chewing. I know that's a thing for some people. I guess people who, this feels deeper than a pet peeve, but you know, people who get off on being mean, like not playful pushiness, like not that sort of thing. I'm talking about like people who really want to make your life fucking miserable and don't allow a space for authentic heartfulness, I guess. I think a lot of people assume that with my tuishness or whatever that I'm always giving to get, and that's definitely the case sometimes, but like a lot of the time I'm just feeling like bright in the presence of other people, and it comes out like I appreciate people for who they are. That sounds so corny, but yeah, and that doesn't necessarily always have like an agenda behind it. So I guess that kind of ties all together, like my biggest pet peeve being people assuming that about me or about people like me. Yeah. I think I have a lot of pet peeves, but they would have to come up in the moment for me to like really access them, I guess, which is like very 6'9" STEM of me. So leading into the last question, do you see yourself as an assertive person? Why or why not? We're going to go with quietly assertive because some feedback I've had from my mom is like that I always get what I want, and I think there's quite a bit of truth to that. I know how to tap into like the magic of desire, you know? But in terms of my basic life force energy, I kind of more get swept away, swept up, even swept down into things. I can be definitely assertive with like super ego stuff, like this is right, this is wrong. some of that assertiveness gets undermined, I think, in the six pendulum swing of like, this is my opinion today, and it does kind of contradict my opinion yesterday. I don't see myself doing that as much as like a core six, but it definitely, when it comes to the ideas realm, like it absolutely is a factor. So I think I lead with like assertiveness of the heart space, but the whole picture of me as a human is probably middle range, which I don't think my SX instinct loves to say, but it's true. So, hopefully this video gave you some insight into what it's like to be a Stockholm baby. Again, my type is 2 wing 3, 6 wing 7, 9 wing 8, SOSX. For anyone that cares about Jungian typology, I'm an ENFJ/EIE, so that's FENI. Yeah, and if you have any questions or discussion points, hit up the comments. It's quarantine, baby. I'm here all the time, so thanks for watching.